What's going on, family? This is Kurt Thomas. I posted a video a couple days ago that caught some attention. Um, Long story short, it was nothing more than just a positive interaction between me and a police officer, and I was very impressed with the way that he conducted himself. I was impressed with the way that the interaction went. Even though I left with a speeding ticket, I wasn't upset about it, and I decided to share it, especially that day a second person was murdered in the United States. I felt that it was the most opportune time for something like that to happen, and rather than just leave it alone, I thought that maybe it might have been a good way to spread some positivity, and I'm glad to see that it did, because at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's not even about that officer. It's about something much bigger. It's about spreading a message of love and understanding and compassion in the midst of a lot of fear and hatred and misunderstanding. So first and foremost, I just want to say thank you to everybody that took the time to watch the video, like it, share it. You guys all helped to get a positive message going. You guys were the momentum and the driving force behind it. I really didn't do much. I just pressed play on my phone, said a couple words, and that was it. So thank you to everybody, and thank you to the officer who did his job. I had to take a break, these last couple days, and really think about how I truly feel, not only about the experience that I had personally, but about everything that's taking place in the States right now. Everything that's going on made me realize that up until this point, all I had was my own personal experiences, and all I had was the social stigmas and the norms and the stereotypes and the prejudice to go off of. But I had never truly formulated my own opinion on everything. And this forced me to, especially, watching myself on TV nationally, it really forced me to sit down and think and ask myself, how do I truly feel about what's going on? What are my real, genuine thoughts as to how we, as people of color, as Black people, how we're handling this situation and how we're conducting ourselves and all that. And after really sitting down and thinking about everything this weekend, it made me realize that first and foremost, racism doesn't even exist. If you look in the world, racism doesn't exist anywhere. It is not. There's no genetic precursor for it. There's no hormone for it. There's no gene for it. It is learned behavior. It's not real. We just pass that. We pass this fallacy down from one generation to another, and then we make it real through our actions and our behavior, and then the thoughts that trigger further action and further behavior. But racism in and of itself is a lie. It's a complete lie. To think that somebody is different than you based purely on the amount of melanin and pigment they have in their skin or their skeletal or their bone structure is absolutely ridiculous. There is only one thing that we need to have in common, and that's the most important thing. It is the fact that we are all human beings. That's the most important thing. Everything else comes second. Your gender, your race, your creed, your color, your religion, your sexual preference, all that stuff is secondary to the single most important thing. We are all the Creator's children. We are all human beings, residents of this earth. And that is what we need to remember when we interact with each other on a day-to-day basis, is that there are far more things that make us alike than there will ever be things that make us different. And I have to be honest, I have to say that I'm disappointed in Black people right now. I'm disappointed in the way a lot of us are responding and reacting to what's going on in the world. Now, with that said, before you guys start calling me an Uncle Tom, let me explain myself. first and foremost, I am 100% unapologetically black. I want everybody to know that. Anybody who knows me on a personal level will tell you I'm very proud and happy and grateful and thankful to be a man of color. I'm not ethnocentric. I don't believe that being black serves some type of privilege or makes us better than anyone in any type of way. It's just a pride that I have in my culture, in my heritage, and my history. And that's because I took the time to actually learn about it, really learn about it. I took the time to study the greats of us. I took the time to study our political and our social leaders, the Martin Luther Kings, the Malcolm X's, the Rosa Parks, the Marcus Garveys, the Huey Newtons. I took the time to study the intellects of our time. Alex Haley, Cornel West, just to name a few, And then I also took the time to study like the alpha males of our time, the people who have really accomplished major success in their life, like your Muhammad Ali's, your Michael Jackson's, your Michael Jordan's, such and so forth. I love these people. They make me feel powerful as a black man, and they make me feel like regardless of some of the blockades that society might try to put up to make our journey a little bit more difficult, anything is possible. Absolutely anything is possible. And those blockades are there, and they do exist. And the reason why I want to make this video is just to kind of touch on some of the things that I've come to realize over these last few days. And this is probably going to rustle some feathers, but to be honest, I don't care. My mom raised a man, and I will never feel fear for doing what I know to be the right thing. So, I mean, if I have to be the one to say something, I'll do it. I'll do it. So I'm just going to put it out there. Quick message to black people. Don't ever expect anyone to respect you, appreciate you, and value you if you don't love, appreciate, and respect yourself. Y'all know exactly what I mean when I say that. A lot of people of color don't love themselves. We don't. Some of us do the most ridiculous things that show that we don't love ourselves. We put all these chemicals and straighteners in our hair to take away our blackness. We put on bleaching creams and chemicals on our skin to lighten us up, to make us less black. We quantify everything that has to do with success or accomplishment or opulence with everything European, anything non-black. What car do you want to drive? A Mercedes. Where do you want to live? In some suburb. What is your dream job? Some corporate, like everything that we think about, that we attain, that we associate with being successful, never has to do with anything being black. And I feel like we have, it almost feels like we're suffering from the post-traumatic stress disorder of 420 years of the worst human oppression and living condition imaginable. I feel like that we're still living with the aftermath of that. And the North American black individual has lost most, if not all, sense of identity. Like, how many of us really know who we are pre-slavery? The common thesis is just we all lived in Africa. We got snatched up by some white people, chained up with yokes on our necks, thrown on boats, sailed on over here and all the Americas, and we've been slaves for the last 420 years, and then we dealt with another 100 years of segregation and systematic oppression and whatever else, and now here we are still getting shot up in the street. Do we know anything about ourselves, really? Because the more I think about it, it's very difficult for you to love something that you don't understand. It's very difficult for you to love something you don't know anything about. Love comes from you appreciating something. Love comes from you being able to see its value. And if you don't know anything about it, it's pretty difficult for you to see its value or to appreciate it. If you don't know yourself, if you don't know who you are, where you come from, what your heritage is, your real heritage, your real culture, your real beliefs, your real values, how can you love yourself? And if you have a difficult time loving yourself, how can you love others, especially others that maybe look like you? So I think the biggest thing that we need to do is we need to understand that we need to reconnect with who we are. We need to love ourselves for who we are and what we are. We need to stop associating everything good with everything outside ourselves. And we need to come back to our culture. We need to come back to our pride. We need to come back to our self-love. And we need to come back to our love for each other. Because it's a real shame when the only time black people ever come together to support each other is when a bunch of us get shot up in the street. It seems like the only time black people are ever willing to actually bind together and rally together is when something terribly negative takes place. And that's awful. The only good thing that has come out of this is the fact that black people decided to actually come and bind themselves together and pursue after a cause. Otherwise, we don't. Otherwise, if anything, we're always competing against each other. We're always trying to one-up each other. We're always trying to outflash the next dude. It's ridiculous. We should be lifting each other up. We should be supporting each other. And again, that comes back to loving yourself and loving one another, because once you love something, you protect the things you love. You care for the things you love. You value the things you love. You cherish the things you love. You honor the things you love. You provide for the things you love. And if necessary, you're willing to fight and die for the things you love. And I believe that when we start loving each other and when we start loving ourselves, respecting each other, respecting ourselves, honoring, protecting, and supporting each other and ourselves, I believe that that behavior will be more readily reciprocated back to us from others. I don't know, that makes sense to me. After I posted those videos, I had the opportunity to read some comments. And I read a lot of comments from a lot of people, and it was a good thing because it gave me the opportunity to really see so many different points of view. It gave me the opportunity to really have insight into so many different mindsets and so many different modes of consciousness. And it was enlightening and it was disheartening at the same time, because it made me realize that a lot of people who are not of color have absolutely no idea what we go through on a daily basis. They truly think that we just play the race card. Like, there are people out there who truly believe that there is equality, like we're actually equal in every way, and we just make this stuff up. So this is a little message to people who are not of color, along with one suggestion, if I could make one. Please do yourself and us a favor and do not speak on situations and circumstances that you will never in your life ever have direct experience in. Because you will never, for 1 minute of a day in your entire life, ever be black. I think that's a fair statement. And so you're not necessarily in the position to make comments on the plight of being a person of color when you yourself will never have any direct experience of being a person of color. So you will only ever be on the outside trying to look in. It's kind of like somebody trying to assess the experience of a basketball player on the court when they can never be anything more than just a fan in the stands watching the game. You'll only ever be able to watch from the outside, but you'll never be on the court playing, right? So that's one thing I want you guys to understand. I'm not taking jabs at you. I'm just saying that, and I'm not saying this to upset anybody, but it's just not really fair for you to boast an authoritative opinion on a subject matter that you will not have any first person experience in. You will only ever be a bystander or a spectator or an observer. You'll never really be subject to it. So I think for the sake of argument and for the sake of opening the lines of communication so that we can all grow, sit down and listen. Because your opinion is not an authority on all subject matter. This would be one of those subjects. Just sit down and listen. And that is where you'll get more wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Because I can tell you, I'm not a PhD. I'm not a civil rights activist yet. I'm not a published author, but I do have one credential that I think means something. And that is, for every single minute of 25 years, I've been a black man. And so if nothing else, I think I have a little bit of experience when it comes to speaking on the experiences of black males. I have a quarter century worth of firsthand experience in the topic. So I think when I say something, there would be some level of validity to that. We're hurting right now. We are hurting really bad. We are watching, at least for me, the way I feel for it, I'm watching my extended family get shot in the street. And nothing's being done about it. It hurts. My first impression, like most, I'm sure, anger, confusion, resentment. But when you have the opportunity to sit down and truly digest everything, you realize that your first impressions and your first reactions typically are the wrong one. And you need to sit down and you need to really consciously respond as opposed to react. And if we choose to just respond, we're just going to end up reciprocating the exact same energy that's being given to us, which is hate, misunderstanding, confusion, racial tension. And that's exactly what's going on right now. When I watch the television and I see these so-called peaceful protests going on, they're not peaceful. They're not peaceful at all. They may be non-violent, but they're definitely not peaceful. People are up in arms. People are angry. People are going wild, screaming. That's not a peaceful protest, guys. That's just public display of anger and rage and frustration, which I totally understand. I get it. But it is not going to fix anything. It is not the answer. Anger breeds more anger. Hatred begats more hatred. Frustration begats more frustration. What you give your energy to is what you're allowing to grow. How do we think this is going to end if all we're doing is fighting fire with fire? What resolution are we hoping to achieve by doing this? You have to fight the energy with its opposite. We need to open the lines of communication, and we need to start using love and compassion and understanding and respect as our weapons. Because as I said, racism, and here's a message for Canadians. We need to get off our high horse. I read a lot of comments by Canadians saying that, that's why Canada's the best and the United States needs to learn everything from us. Let me tell you all something. I love Canada. I love this country. I love it every fiber of my being. But we are not in the moral position to judge anybody, because this country has its history too. This country has people who's felt the oppression of its creation as well. And I would encourage you to sit down and speak with any one of your Aboriginal friends, if you have one, and ask them how they feel the creation of this country has affected the lives of their people. I'm going to just leave that one there. Okay? We have all made our mistakes. One country was founded on slavery. The other one was practically created on genocide. So 6.5, half a dozen, the other, whatever. We need to start looking at each other eye level. Instead of being here and being here, or flip side, we both got to be here. We got to open the lines of direct communication. Black people, start loving and respecting yourself. Start looking out for each other in a positive way. White people, stop being afraid of us. We're just like you. And we want to be treated just like you. That's all this is about. This is not a black and white thing. This is not a civilian police thing. This is half a millennia's worth of tension and misunderstanding and resentment. And it's reaching a fever pitch. And if we don't do something really, really soon, we are going to pay a serious price for it. Because we are now at a point where we have more guns than we've ever had before. We have more military than we've ever had before. We have more police than we've ever had before. We have more civilians than we've ever had before. If this thing pops off, how bad do you think it's going to pop off? It's not going to be pretty. If we think too many of our people are dying now, on both sides, just wait if we allow this thing to escalate. It won't be our fathers or our boyfriends or our husbands that will be bearing. It'll be our children next. So this needs to stop, like yesterday. Every single person has a part to play in this. We are all wrong. We are all wrong. And we all need to take responsibility. We need to take these and do this with them. And don't think that because we live in Canada that we're immune to racism. Like we got some type of prejudice tetanus shot up here. Racism, prejudice, bigotry, it doesn't respect borders. It doesn't respect countries. It doesn't respect territories. It's a state of mind. It's a state of consciousness. It's not a geographical state. It's a mental state. And we need to understand that. And that is one of the reasons why I'm talking right now. That's one of the reasons why I posted this video. Not only to combat the negativity that's taking place right now, but also as a preventative measure to make sure that it doesn't spread, that it never makes its way here, and that we can kill it where it is right now. I'm sick of seeing people die, regardless of what color you are. It's not about race, it's about humanity. And the minute we start separating each other and start weighing one life as more valuable than the other, we've lost our humanity. We need to bring our humanity back. We need to bring our empathy back. We need to bring the love back. Enough is enough. One life lost is too many. Any life lost is too many. And if we don't stop this now, put it behind us once and for all, we will be yet another generation to pass the torch of hatred onto our children. Forget that. I don't want my kid dealing with this problem. I want my children to have better quality problems. Let's just freaking do something about this already. We've been passing the torch of bullshit for 500 years. Let's find something else to do. I love y'all. I hope I stirred up some feathers, because that means I got y'all thinking. And don't worry, this won't be the last one.